Donald Trump sending some mixed messages on immigration, and that seemed to be a cue for Jeb Bush.
I can only say that whatever his views are this morning, they might change this afternoon, and they were different than they were last night, and they'll be different tomorrow. So I can't comment on his views because his views are they seem to be ever changing depending on what crowd he's in front of. It sounds like a typical politician, by the way, where you get in front of one crowd and say one thing and then say something else to another crowd that may want to hear a different view. All the things that Donald Trump railed against, he seems to be morphing into. It's kind of disturbing.
Jeb Bush not the only one with recent observations, not lost either on conservative radio host Rush Limbaugh.
Who knew? You mentioned what's like to be Jeb Bush today. Who knew? I'm sorry, folks. She's a bigot. They tried everybody they could think of to try to convince the Republican base to support some form of amnesty for illegal immigrants. And I'm sorry. Who knew? I know it frustrates you to hear me. I'm sorry. Oh, yeah, regain my composure. Who knew that it would be Donald Trump to come along and convert the GOP base to supporting amnesty?
With me now, Republican strategist Justin Sayfie, who was a campaign surrogate for Jeb Bush's presidential campaign and also served as communications director for Jeb Bush while he was governor. Nice to have you with us this morning. A lot to talk about here.
Good morning, Erica.
And we heard a little bit, of course, good morning again, from Jeb Bush. Donald Trump, of course, spoke with our own Anderson Cooper last night and basically was back to the position that he had in the primaries after that interview. As someone who has spent time in campaigns, as someone who has been behind the scenes with candidates, both when they're in search of, vying for office and in office, how do you reconcile these messages to voters, especially 70 some odd days out from the election?
Well, I think that's one of the big concerns for the Trump campaign. He was very clear, very emphatic during the primary campaign when he was trying to win the Republican nomination about his position on immigration. One of the things that a lot of Republican voters gravitated towards was Donald Trump, they felt, was someone who said what he thought and wouldn't back down and would stand firm. Now, all of a sudden, we're seeing that he may be changing his position on the immigration issue, one of the most emotional issues in the Republican primary and for our country. So I think the Trump campaign, apparently Trump is going to give a speech next week in Phoenix on immigration, but that's the risk that he's running, is hurting his own brand that he developed during the campaign. Now, as a Republican, I support the Jeb Bush, Marco Rubio position on immigration. So from that perspective, I think if he does change his policy, he's coming more to where most Americans are and to the reasonable, realistic position. But in terms of his brand of saying what he means and not backing down, he's got a huge risk there.
Can he come out and say, though, as we heard earlier from Scotty and Al Hughes, well, this is a result of maybe speaking with Republican lawmakers, speaking with folks in Washington who've given him a better sense of how things can work at this point, what you actually can do with existing laws. Would Donald Trump be better served to come out and say, yeah, I did. I've talked to a lot of people. I'm evolving my position because this is what I've learned. Come out in that immigration speech and say, but this is all you'll hear from me.
I think I would welcome that. For one, as a Republican, I would welcome that. I think it would be great to have the Republican nominee take a reasonable and realistic position that was advocated by Jeb Bush and Marco Rubio and others during the presidential primary. And if he says, listen, I've changed my view, or I've altered my view, or I've modified my position based on the people that I've spoken to on the campaign trail, I think that's absolutely fine. But at the same time, there are a group of people, and we heard that clip from Rush Limbaugh and others in the Republican Party, that are going to be dismayed to hear him change his position, and that's the part that he's going to have to really work on.
As we know, he's working on getting certain voters. So is Hillary Clinton, of course. There's been a lot made of different Republicans who've said that they will support Hillary Clinton. Her message was very clear and really stood out. I want to play a little bit of what she had to say yesterday.
The party of Lincoln has become the party of Trump. The week after 9/11, George W. Bush went to a mosque and declared for everyone to hear that Muslims love America just as much as I do. In 2008, John McCain told his own supporters that they were wrong about the man he was trying to defeat. Senator McCain made sure they knew Barack Obama, he said, is an American citizen and a decent person. We need that kind of leadership again.
So Hillary Clinton clearly making a push there for Republican voters. Sort of a two-part question on this. Number one, is that an effective message for Republicans who don't feel they have a place to turn? And number two, are most Republicans actually listening to what Hillary Clinton is saying? Are they interested in making that move over to supporting Hillary Clinton?
Well, I think the Hillary Clinton speech trashing and bashing Donald Trump was a great campaign strategy to distract from the AP report earlier this week that basically indicated or implied that she was putting a for sale sign on the Secretary of State's office by meeting with people who had given millions and millions of dollars to the Clinton Foundation. So, you know, kudos to the Clinton campaign for the art of distraction and the art of changing the topic. Now, having said that, I think that she's going to try to get Republican votes, but at the same time, none of the people that she cited when she mentioned all those Republicans, none of those people are backing Hillary Clinton for president. The Republican Party, the party of Lincoln, is still the party of Lincoln. It's not just the party of one person. It's the party of John McCain. It's the party of Jeb Bush. It's the party of a number of other Republicans. So we have a broad and diverse Republican coalition in this country. And I think that the Hillary Clinton's issues with the emails, her putting our national security at risk, those types of issues are going to ultimately keep her from getting a lot of Republican votes.
Just a real quick question for you. You say it's the party of Lincoln, it's the party of George W. Bush, it's the party of John McCain, of Jeb Bush. Is it the party of Donald Trump?
Donald Trump is a Republican right now, and he is part of the Republican Party. But I absolutely disagree that the Republican Party is the party of Donald Trump. We have a number of Republicans running all across this country, from California to New Hampshire to Iowa to Florida and all in between. We are a huge, large, diverse party. We're a major party. And right now, I think that's what I like to focus on, because we are a very, very diverse party. I'm speaking to you from Miami. We have a number of great Republicans here in Miami. It's our party, too.
Justin Sayfie, appreciate your time this morning. Thank you.
Thanks, Eric.